Ladies and gentlemen, live. Okay, after a week off, I was on vacation, so I apologize. Actually, I don't apologize. Right, Paul? No apology. But anyway, had a great time. Thank you. I love when the crowd in the office goes crazy. But today we are very fortunate, back at it, from the lovely state of California in the Yorba Linda office. New to the business. He's going to tell you a little about that right now. Mr. David Ortega. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Tell us a little about it, how you got started, all that good stuff that we were just talking about a little bit. I think it'd be really definitely fun for them to hear.
Yeah. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. So as Rick alluded to, I just started real estate as a whole, April of 2021. Before that, I was kind of entertaining getting my license because my background currently is within business development because I hold an MBA and two bachelor's degrees in business. So I was entertaining that COVID happened. Long story short, I failed a couple times and finally got a call from Berkshire Hathaway one day if I wanted to go take their free crash course. I went and took it, wasn't expecting much. I passed the test that following Monday to my surprise and my wife's surprise as well. So then when I passed it, I was like, well, you know what? The least I can do is give this office a shot, right? I wasn't expecting much from either party, myself or the office. And here we are, October 5th. And it's just been a crazy ride for me. I mean, I've been so blessed. I think, when God gives you signs, and for me, it was this Berkshire Hathaway office. I mean, the level of support I've received there since me signing up with the office, I believe it was like April 14th or 15th. Today's October 5th. I've closed, I think it's 5 or 6 transactions already at just under 2.7 million. So had no expectations for myself. So that's kind of a little bit of my background and where I am today. Like I said, I'm still speechless and I still pinch myself that it's gone this excitingly well for me because I had no expectations for myself.
Well, David, okay, so you said a bunch of good stuff there, and I appreciate what you were saying about, and let's face it, let's call the man by name. Larry Tate is
Yes.
He's an manager. We love that guy. I just talked to him yesterday. Super guy. I'm going to be at your office next Tuesday doing an office meeting and a training.
Excellent.
So Larry is definitely practices what he preaches. He's a prospector. He talks to agents like yourself, getting them to experience the Berkshire Hathaway. But I have to ask you this question because with your education, your master's and your bachelor's and so forth in business, when you looked at real estate, because I always say if you owned another business or been involved in a management or ownership level in any other type of business, you look at real estate and you go, wow, that's interesting. A lot of upside, not a lot of downside if you're doing transactions because basically you're running a business that has very few expenses or overhead, right? But you have all the upside of commissions and so forth. So when you look at it from a business standpoint, it's a pretty great business, isn't it?
It's absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, and just to give you an example of what you just said, my wife and I, to give back to our community, I did a pumpkin drive this past week where we distributed almost 300 pumpkins just to random people in my farm area. That's how lucrative it's been so far for us. And like I said, I'm still blown away. Absolutely. The returns are just amazing for the investment. I mean, and if you just focus on giving back to the community, just giving back to people and to the community that you operate in, the byproduct of that is going to be a transaction and it's a win-win for everyone.
You're right. Yeah, no, so true. Like if you're a builder and you have 3 homes up, you have 3 payments, okay, until the home's closed, right? As a realtor, you have 5, 6, 7, 8 listings and you're making X percentage. So it's a pretty incredible. Now remember, if you're making money, and fortunately for you, David, you've come out of the gates hot, which is great, okay, especially in the kind of an interesting year that we're having. It's like started off, people go, well, has the market slowed down? I go, well, okay, let's look at it this way. It started at 150 miles an hour. It's probably at 100 right now, which is still an incredible market. But in California, you guys still have a massive inventory shortage, right? Buyers are still having a hard time getting a home, even if they really want one and qualify one, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah, and I thought it was going to be, honestly, I underestimated how complex it can be, especially having dove in at this time. That's why I'm really thankful I have Larry to my side here in Yorba Linda, because I've called that man at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night on a Saturday or a Sunday, and he's never left me out to dry. I mean, he's helped me navigate through all these contracts, listing agreements, purchase contracts. Uh, I mean, I just what better way to learn the business than the environment that we're in right now?
Yeah, right. You're absolutely true. And like I actually had someone say to me yesterday, "Oh, the market's slowing. I know it's slowing." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Well, I had a new listing. It was actually on the market for 13 days before it sold. Only one offer." And I go, "Well, what was the offer?" "Oh, it was full price." I go, "So let me get this straight. Listen to what you just said. It took you 13 days to sell a home full price. Listen to how spoiled you are. 6 months ago, you'd have four offers in 4 days, but that's not normal."
Right. It's
This is
still not normal.
it's still an incredible market, but it's just not off the hook incredible. It's just
Right.
incredible. So great. So how have you done this, my man? You got deals in right out of the gate. Tell us a little bit how you put these transactions.
Um, So at first, I took trial and error, right? So just when you operate any business, it's all about exposure, exposing your brand, exposing your who you are, and setting yourself up to what you want to be as an agent, right, or as a business owner. And I went about it completely the wrong way, where I kind of neglected what I now know is my sphere of influence as
Right.
being the primary source of leads. And then everything else now that I know is secondary, but you don't want to lose sight of that. I've mainly been doing this by my sphere of influence, but there is one unique situation, right? I went to go meet with Larry, and I want to say this was back in July of this year, somewhere around there. And we had just a one-on-one meeting. I was talking to him like, "Hey, Larry, I need to work on my marketing, this and that." And just down the street from there was a Home Depot, and I had some time to spare. I went to Home Depot, grabbed some stuff, and I just kept focusing on something that Larry told me. He's like, you need to just start talking to people and talking to people, because my sphere of influence was kind of drying up for a little bit. So then I just remember him, and I was in the plant section, and I was pulling out some vegetable plants, and I just looked at some random lady and said, "Isn't this real estate market just unbelievable?" And before you know it, this lady just opens up like there's no tomorrow, right? About how she's been talking to an agent. The agent's horrible. She asked for my phone number. I gave her the phone number, and then I contacted Larry. I'm like, "Hey, Larry, I think I might have crossed the lines here. Like, she already kind of has an agent." He's like, "Yeah, well, just redirect her to her sales manager, and then once she doesn't have an agent, eventually she might come back." Well, long story short, last week I just closed two transactions for that lady just by striking a conversation at a Home Depot. So that's been the highlight of my summer.
Wow, what a great opening line too! Isn't this real estate market incredible? Like just assuming that she would jump right in, and she did, which is great. I love it.
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, if you're not selling and you're not buying, you still have an opinion of how crazy this market is. And
Yeah.
those people have an opinion only through indirect conversations with people that they know.
Right. So true. And being in Yorba Linda, what do you have, like seven houses on the market at one time there? Right, it's crazy. I remember the first time going to Yorba Linda when someone told me, and this was like 7 or 8 years ago when I started for the company, someone said to me, "Yeah, we currently have 45 active." 45? I'm like, that's not a lot for a whole city. That's not a lot of single family housing, and it's only gotten tighter since then. And everything looks like it's going to stay like that for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so cool. All right, so you come out of the gate, you're talking to people. The other thing is what I found, David, is another great source in this market is calling or knocking around your listings and sales. That's an incredible, and I'm going to be
Yep.
talking about the training at your office next week.
Yep.
Yep.
That's exactly what I've been doing with every closed transaction. I send a one quarter radius mailer, and then I go door to door immediately after that.
Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. If you're going to mail something, but you're going to knock, only mail the ones you're not going to knock. The other ones, drop them off. When it's
Got it.
not mailbox, it's even more effective because then they know you've been to the house.
Got it.
In California, it's such a great, in California, it's like socially acceptable to go out door knocking. It's just,
Yeah.
in Nevada's getting very much like that, and Arizona's like that as well.
Yeah. For the most part, people are very open here.
And now I have to ask you because I owned a boat for a long time, and I'm looking over both your shoulders, and I notice is that a wood prop you have back there for like an old wood boat that on the wall?
Oh, yes. I'm a big sailboat and like World War II aircraft fanatic. So my wife really did a good job of decorating my office after we built the house here 8 years ago.
Yeah, those are like old fashioned props from like boats when they have the
Yeah.
old outboard drives.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Good job. All right. All right. So anything else like what I normally do is, and I know you're newer in the business, but with your business background and so forth, my favorite question to ask people is, okay, so you've been in the business now for a good solid 6 months. You've done at least a deal a month, it sounds like, which is incredible, especially with your average sale price there. Give them the three coming out of the gate hot like you. Give them the three most important things that you would tell them to focus on if they wanted to have a similar, early success story like yours.
Having been what I've been through so far these past 6 months, what I would do is I would kind of reinvent the wheel for myself in the sense that if I'm going to get a license, I would start working my sphere of influence as I'm working my way through that licensing process, because I found it not more challenging, but I found it more difficult to just touch base with people out of the blue once I got my license versus had I started interacting with them 12 or 18 months prior. I think it would have been an easier transition, especially when I asked for referrals. Um, the second piece that I would do is really identify who you want to be, right, as a professional in the community that you operate in. And I say that only because I am really big on giving back to the community, and because at the end of the day, it's going to give back to you, right? So really identifying what kind of professional you're going to be in the community that you operate in, and then the last piece is having gone through trial and error and Larry talking me out of certain things, is really be careful as to what who your niche or your ideal customer really looks like and what they really are, right? Because right out of the gate, I wanted to do everything. And I want for everything from a marketing perspective, as a real estate agent, everything. And I was too broad. I needed to narrow it down and really find who my ideal customer was and really do my marketing to that particular demographic while I was still working my sphere of influence on the side.
That's such a great comment. Especially, I like what you just said there. The last one, know what your customer looks like. And now I would say to me that means make sure the people you're working with are super qualified. They know what they
Yep.
want. They're definitely buying or selling because early on, and the fact that you were bouncing everything off Larry is incredibly intelligent. Because a lot of people, like you come into the business, all right, and you think, okay, this makes common sense. This makes common sense. But then when you play it out, it really doesn't. You talk to other people with experience. It's kind of like, one of my coaching calls this morning, sellers today, like in your area, X amount of commission. I'm not going to say numbers, but X amount of commission is very common. And then you have people that'll do it for less. So common sense tells you, well, if I'm going to get charged less commission, I'm going to make more money. Common sense, that makes perfect common sense business wise, but it's not what happens
Right.
because of the effort, the activity, the exposure, the marketing, everything that goes into it. We know as a full service company at Berkshire Hathaway, we make people more money even when they pay a percent and a half higher, much more money in a lot of cases. But
Right.
until they're explained why, they don't, I mean, it makes perfect sense for them to think that way. When you come
Yep.
into the business and you're brand new, you think, oh, this makes sense or that makes sense. But ultimately, there's a few billable hour activities that'll make you the most that you should spend most of your time on, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I interrupted you. Were you gonna add in there something?
No, when we're talking about just bouncing everything off Larry, I'll give you a perfect example. I had a client who was qualified. He didn't fit the profile for this current environment to get him set up for success by getting a home. So I called Larry. I'm like, hey, what are the top producers in the office doing? Because I have a client and I can't seem to get him a house. he connected me with someone, and that agent said, "Hey, you know what? Try Apex Services." And I touched base with the owner of Apex, which is Fred. I'm like,
Right.
Fred, I need you to school me on everything you have. And I became kind of like a little Apex guru for myself. And within 2 weeks, I closed a transaction for this client that was your subpar qualified client.
Nice. Yeah, I've been, as a company, so I'm so glad you brought up Apex because I hear such great things. It seems like
Yep.
California and Arizona are using it Apex the most, and Nevada is just getting into gear here. But I hear nothing but great things. And there's another agent in your office, Veronica, she's like the poster child for Apex.
Yeah.
Right? She's doing a whole bunch of deals with them. She stopped using investors and just started using Apex, which she said was so much more advantageous.
Yep. It's a great program, and they have 3 different platforms for buyers, so it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, it's not just for sellers anymore. It's for it's
Right.
for sellers who are buying, and it's also just period for buyers too.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So check it out with your manager if you have any questions about that. All right, David. I promise you we'll be done in about 20 or less. So any final words you want to leave these wonderful people, my man?
No, the only thing I can say is I'm very thankful and grateful I came across Berkshire Hathaway. And for everyone new to the business, please utilize your sales managers. And when you find yourself not knowing what to do, reach out, see what the successful people in your offices are doing. Reach out to them because they're obviously doing something right. And if we can, as new agents, if we can just take 10% of what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, we'll be able to drive results for our own success.
I love it, my man. And you know what? This was not a paid advertisement, but I really appreciate everything that you said, David. It's so true. Now, your business background, I'm going to tell you what you just said is absolutely true, meaning we have the systems, we have the brand, we have all the goodies, we have managers that are incredibly vested in helping you be super successful. But you came in and did the work, my man, and that's very, complimentable. So if that's a word.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, my man. Well, thanks for taking your time out today. Really appreciate it. Everybody else, we'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you.